This book is called Nocturne in Chrome and Sunset Yellow, which is a bit of a mouthful, I admit. It was the book I always wanted to write about London. I spent years and years trying to write poetry about London and never quite managing it. Partly because it's hard to get a grip on a big city in writing, I think. It's constantly in motion. The first we heard of it was the silence. There was a morning with seagulls in it. The air was grey and held the smell of salt. And when the rain began at last, at noon, a black van pulled in by the off-licence. So silently you had to look, and out got the bailiffs. Unassuming men, not well-built as you might expect, or even wide in the shoulders. They went to the house with the flying buttresses, where the road gives out at the end onto railway land, and took the door right off its hinges, one talking down to the other in a voice so gentle it might never have been used to speak of violence, which is what they did. The smaller of them each time carrying the shuttles out, while the tall one appraised the estimated value of the bed, the clothes wringer, the clothes, even some seeds the people there had meant to plant that spring. They frog-marched metal shutters from the van and bolted down the door and the windows. Then they were done, and the van was pulling away into the rain which smelt of tides, the Rhine blown 30 miles from Southend. And the couple who lived in that last house came home, the woman first, trying her hand at kicking down doors, the man returning later, one or the other coming round for the loan of a crowbar. Her hands bled before they left. We saw them again once, by chance. The two of them sat next to us in traffic east of Clapton. None of us had the time to wave, and neither of them really seemed to see us there, their faces turning just then to look at something else. An accident, perhaps. This isn't what I meant to talk to you about. The thing is this. After the repossession men had gone, the place went up for auction, but no one offered a price. The bank was stuck with it. And years went by in which that house became homeless. The garden sank down in a tide of lost property, shopping trolleys stacked with shopping bags and shopping magazines, and bottles full of groundwater, and mould suspended like marvels of medicine, and earth accumulated by the rain. The bushes garlanded with 2-for-1 takeaway menus, tin cans, foam cups, string. The straight-back chair where foxes sat enthroned, the mattress where an old man slept all spring, the kitchen sink full of the earthenware of mushrooms and cracked blocks of thermalite dumped there as if someone once meant to build on those foundations of abandonment. All this was years ago, and now you're here, the two of you scything the bittersweet, hopeful and very young, pulling up weeds, weeding discarded shirts and shoes and skirts, cutting the brambles off above the roots so that you'll see them back before too long. But here you are all the same, both of you young enough not to give up for the want of trying. And you've come at the right time, in spring. Already the garden you've cleared is taking in the air the taste of salt the wind brings 30 miles from the sea. Soon crocuses will break up to the light, yellow as eggs cracked clean into a glass, and flowers that you never knew were there or never knew were real will appear out of the yard the bank once tried to own, and finding themselves nothing else to wear will put on buds that open to the air like mouths containing promises, like hands containing gifts, like small fists opening in gestures that say here and which say here. That's called repossession. It was my neighbour's garden at his last house.